Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Randy Blevins. I am the founder and CEO of Think Tank Marketing, and I have the privilege to be here on a very special day for two reasons. One, it's National Bourbon Day, a holiday close to my heart. So we will be having a toast. So if you have bourbon in your house or your office, wherever you are, you're welcome to join us for that. And two, we're so thrilled that today is the day we are launching Show Up Positive by Rita Ernst, who will be with us here shortly. So you are in the right place. Might be a little shocking to see not Rita on her channel, but she asked me to host this, and I'm very happy to be here. So a few things first, housekeeping. We are on kind of our own setup, so you know how technology is. Internet could go down, camera could break. So if anything does happen, please check her Facebook and LinkedIn feed, and we will let you know what's going on and hopefully get back up and running as soon as we can. My fabulous marketing director, Courtney, is here helping us produce. She comes from a background of television, so we are in good hands. So you may see us interacting with her. And lastly, we'd like to give a big thank you to Maureen Raymond of Raymond Landscapes for the beautiful display that we have here to my left. So the reason why we're here, Rita Ernst, she began her career as an internal organizational development and human resources consultant in Fortune 200 companies. She honed many valuable skills, including strategic planning, facilitation, business meeting facilitation, workshop design and delivery, employee engagement process and tool design, executive coaching, just to name a few. She helped me very much at the beginning of my business, which was about probably 10 years ago now. In 2005, she left corporate life and established her own independent consulting and coaching practice, which is probably how many of you know her. And since 2020, she has leveraged her expertise in organizational psychology to craft solutions for business owners and staff members that break through the hostility while restoring pride, teamwork, and profits. Through her groundbreaking training and lessons, she reveals how to intentionally cultivate positive thoughts and behaviors instead of automatically reacting from the trappings of a depleting cycle of frustration and discontent. And all of that is the culmination of this book, Show Up Positive, which is now available and live. You can get it right now on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and if you prefer to shop locally here in Louisville, if you're coming to us locally, Carmichael's. You can order it from Carmichael's bookshops. So without any further ado, please welcome Rita Ernst.
Yay! I feel like we should have the Rocky Balboa theme song playing when I come sit down. Hello, everyone. I'm so happy to be here with all of you. Thank you for showing up to celebrate. This is such a joyous day.
So I think we're all showing up positive today for this.
Yay!
And it's such a joy to be here finally going through this journey, like sort of through the end of this journey with you. And we'll talk about the entire journey during this brief broadcast. But so it's here.
Yes.
How does it feel? It's launched. It's available.
It's launched. Well, you know, there's so many. It's a whole new adventure, right? There's so much that I am learning, that you are learning along the way. I had my oh crap midnight moment to start the day. I'm like, Houston, we have a problem because we don't control the retailers. And so Amazon really shocked the crap out of me this morning a little bit, but I've learned a whole lot. I've settled down, I've calmed down. And you know, here's what I've learned. Amazon underestimated you. You guys showed up, you ordered this book. They didn't order enough copies. So they got to go back to the distributor for reprint. And I'm like, shame on you, Amazon, because you don't know my people, and my people are extraordinary.
And also the people that they know. And we've had a really great time getting the word out about this book. The local TV media has been very receptive to the book. And I know that you've been giving copies away, and I've received feedback from them about how they want to give that to their managers. They want to share that with the other people at the station. So a lot of really positive feedback is happening even through those channels. So congratulations.
Thank you.
And I'm so happy that we're here at this point now. And we have learned a lot too. I was just such an honor for you to ask me to work with you on this, because I was very upfront with her. I've never worked on a book launch before, but applying the same marketing and press and media principles to this, I think we've had pretty good success. And I know that it's going to be even bigger today now that the book is out. So again, that book is still, you can get it on Amazon, just maybe not in the way that you expect it. But we also have it available at Barnes & Noble on their website, and you can order it through Carmichael.
Sorry, Amazon, but Barnes & Noble's offering free shipping on my book right now. So, if you're not a loyalist to Amazon, which I'm clearly not.
And I think so I am not a book person. I am a digital person, and I don't think that, are you able to get this on your Kindle right now?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yes. So for whatever reason, Amazon's delaying my friendly ebook readers. I'm one of them. I have a lot of ebooks and a lot of audiobooks, and the audiobook will be coming. But you're going to really want more than the audiobook. You're going to want this in your hands.
Yeah, and we'll get into those reasons why.
But yes, you can get the electronic book, but there is a slight delay on Amazon, which maybe hopefully means they're upgrading it, because they will do that. They will take your file and they will upgrade it for indexing and stuff. So maybe all those orders you guys placed in pre-sale have them thinking that it's worth
something,
putting a little extra into.
And it is something, 1000%. So let's start at the very beginning. I'm working on The Sound of Music, so that's always in my head. How did this book come about? The journey is pretty remarkable, because a lot of it came out of your experience with the pandemic and clients that you were working with. So just give us a little brief background on that.
So in 2020, a lot of us got sent home to set up an at-home office, figure out how to provide internet bandwidth that will serve 2 working adults and children in school and all of those kinds of things. But there were also a whole group of people who had to show up in their workplace every day. And you would think that that would be easier than trying to do all that stuff at home. But you know what? They were still trying to do all that stuff at home, because they still had kids and they didn't get to be home to help their kids all day. And it was hard to get childcare. There were all of these things. So it was this undescribable moment for a lot of these workers of pressure and concern. Remember, we didn't know a lot about how this transmitted. We thought you could get it from your groceries. And so they are showing up in their workplace every day, trying to do their job, worried about getting sick, taking something back to their families, worried about their families at home, trying to organize childcare, pull in every favor they had. And so not surprisingly, people got exhausted. And when we get exhausted, we do a couple of things. One, we withdraw. So people were not engaging like this in the workplace like they used to. They were getting quiet. They were on their phone. They're checking in with their family all the time. The workplace became different. People were distracted. People were very distracted.
Does any of this sound familiar to those of you
right?
out there? Yeah.
And so as all of that happened, people start to commiserate over all the struggle. And commiseration, when it goes on for a long period of time, becomes complaining. And in these organizations, it became complaining. It became policing. Randy's not wearing his mask right. Randy didn't clean this like he was supposed to after that patient left. And then it became scorekeeping. I'm working harder than anybody else. I've done this task 3 times today. Nobody else has done it once. And people would say to me, we used to never do that to each other.
Right.
And they became miserable. And the saying on the back cover of the book is, misery loves company until people grow tired of being miserable. And that's where I met people in this pandemic. Workplaces were high performing, highly sought out, small companies where people describe themselves as families, as owners, as prideful members of the team that love serving their clients and customers. And now they were miserable and they couldn't find their path back.
Right.
They knew that they knew how to be different, but they didn't know how to start getting there.
Okay.
And so that's the work that we did. And that's what I talk about in the first part of the book. It's, I affectionately call it the manifesto, because I am asking you as a reader to start a change inside of your organization from the inside out. You can be the catalyst for getting back that organization that you know and love by choosing how you show up intentionally every day. So that the first part of the book is the call to action. And I share all of these stories from clients that I worked with. In fact, one of my favorite things about the book is at the end of every chapter,
Right.
there is a continuous story of the very first client that I worked with during the pandemic. And so I tell their full story, and it follows the roadmap of the book of what exactly we were going through and gives you the context. And you'll know it because it's in italics, so it stands out very clearly. It's right after the TLDR. At the end of each chapter is the client story. And so that's the first part of the book. It really tells. And then the second part of the book gets you into more of the how and some of the practices that we really worked on.
That's fantastic. And I really do love how purposeful you were in structuring this book, because it can be for readers like myself, for somebody like my partner, Matt, who doesn't like to read. You can flip through and find the too long, didn't read, and see what that chapter is about. And if something strikes your interest, you can go back to that. And then you've got the practical part in part 2, with all these wonderful keywords that you could use on a daily basis. So we'll talk a little bit more about that coming up. But if you mentioned that a lot of this came from work with clients, and I'd like to bring on one of those clients right now. We've got Tiffany and Tina coming on with us right now. Hello.
Hi there. Hi.
How's it going?
Good. Happy to be here.
Thank you so much for being here, and happy birthday again.
And for everybody watching, this team at Premier Surgery Center, it's one of my favorite teams to work with. Like I would probably give them free consulting services just to spend time with them because they are that much fun to be with.
Fantastic. Yes, and Tiffany Brock is the CEO of Premier Surgery Center, and that is here in Louisville.
Yes.
Correct? Yes. So Tiffany, can you just tell us a little bit first about your company and the challenges you were facing during the pandemic, having just heard from Rita about how this book came about?
Absolutely. So we are an outpatient surgery center, and we do elective surgeries. So when COVID hit and we had to stop doing elective surgeries, we went from 5 days a week, teammates getting their hours, to maybe 5 cases a week. If we were lucky, teammates were at home. Our company, SCA, was gracious enough to pay them 60% of their wages during those 3 months, but they still had to worry about that other percentage and paying their bills and what are they going to do with their kids and homeschooling. And it was just a lot of stress. And then we opened back up after 3 months, and they're dealing with all that stress, but also we're asking them to come into work and get back to their jobs. And they have kids that have to deal with homeschooling. Daycares were shut down. It was just a lot of stress for them inside and outside of work. And then on top of that, the pandemic was super new and not a lot was known about it. So they were afraid of getting COVID, afraid of giving it to their families, bringing it at home. So they had a lot of fear coming back to work, but they needed to come back to work because they needed the money. So it was basically a rock and a hard place for them.
Yeah.
And that anxiety showed up at work, and our COVID policies changed daily. So every day we're like, now we need to do this, and now it's 10 days. Now you can come back in 14. If you have this symptom, don't come in. So every day it was something new, and their heads were just spinning. And the feedback was that they were worried. They were worried about the future. They were worried about their family. They were worried about their loved ones. Like it was just a lot of stress.
The hospital.
Right. And on top of that, we're an ambulatory surgery center. So we also had to deal with hospitals offering a lot higher wages than what we could afford. And giving them nurses bonus pay because they were working with COVID patients, specifically. We weren't dealing with COVID patients, but that was also something that we had to balance as well.
So extra challenges even for your industry. I think we do all remember that time, and just thinking about it gives me anxiety still.
I know it does, doesn't it?
So how was Rita? Well, how did you connect with Rita, and how was she able to help you?
So we had been back to, I think, our somewhat normal once we were doing cases again. And every day we just felt as a leadership team, which the rest of our leaders are in here too. They're just off camera. You can't see them, but they're here for support. We felt like that teammates were coming to us and just going at each other. Like Rita had mentioned, like so-and-so's not wearing their mask, or so-and-so's not doing this. And, feeling like they were the only ones working. They were just dropping the stuff off at our doorstep. And, we're also dealing with all the other policy changes and trying to keep everything running and keep the doors open and making sure we're not shutting down for an outbreak and all these, things in the background that were going on. And all of us we're fixers. So when you give us a problem, like we take it and we want to fix it. And so we were trying, and we were burning ourselves out as a leadership team, trying to just make things better, trying to increase the morale. I mean, we were doing everything we thought that we could, and that was in our wheelhouse to do. And we finally just hit our breaking point. And I looked at the team and I was like, we need help. We cannot do this alone. We need someone outside of here to help us. And so we reached out to one of our CRNAs, knew a friend of Rita's. We reached out to this person who had since left from Louisville, who then connected us with Rita. And it was like a light had shined, and we were just like, like this is what we've needed. And it was amazing.
Fantastic. I know that you ordered books for your leadership team. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
So, what would you say to another CEO or manager struggling with those same issues about either the book or what Rita can do for you?
I think that one of the things that Rita did for us was help us put some of that ownership back on the teammates. So like I said, we're fixers, and we were trying to do everything we could, but getting the teammates to buy back into that ownership and to be proud of the center again, and proud of their work and proud of their teammates. So bringing that ownership back to the teammates was huge, and just making them understand that they're part of the environment here too. How they show up and how they come to work and how they treat each other is super important. And it can't come just from the leadership team, that they have to be there for each other. So we have implemented some changes since then. Rita was amazing. She was here for a little over 3 months. She met with every single teammate. She dove through about 40 different surveys from our teammates about what's working well and how can we improve. She tied all that back to our values, and then that helped us focus on the areas that we really needed to incorporate into the daily with the teammates. And one outcome of that was our bright spot board that Rita suggested that we do, and it's great. And Rita, you haven't been back to see it, but teammates are actually writing on there, like thanking each other and posting them up. It's in the break room for everyone to see. It's been really neat to see them take ownership of that, and ownership of how they are showing up to work and how that affects the whole morale.
And let me just jump in and share something important for other business leaders that are listening in. And I get into this in the book when I talk about what a positive culture is not. But when we interviewed and talked with the employees at Premier Surgery Center, the number one thing that they said that they wanted to help, that they thought would have the biggest impact on helping the culture, was restoring their right to do pitch-ins. And pitch-ins are when everybody brings a dish to share, and we weren't able to share food, right? But this was so much a part of their belonging and connectivity these days, when they would share, when everybody would bring a dish together, and then we would, meet up in the break rooms. And so tell me if I'm wrong, but Tina and Tiffany, when you guys first heard that, you guys were pretty surprised that was the thing they were focusing on, right?
Right. Absolutely. Because we were so focused on, other things, like big things, like what big changes do we need? And the whole time it was just these little connections, these little pieces that they had missed, that they weren't getting anymore. And I think that's the message I want everybody to get about this, is that you can't assume that you got to listen. And this leadership team is extraordinary, and they're very, very committed. And working with them is a joy. And I think you would agree, though, having somebody external that could come in and add that extra support to do that listening and synthesize some of that. It wasn't that you guys weren't willing to do it. You were just drinking from a fire hose of other responsibilities. Absolutely. Right. Absolutely. And I feel like having that outside perspective helps the teammates as well, right? Like we can say, if you're not bringing your best self to work, that's also going to impact it. But the way that you did it is, what's your ideal state at work? How do you get there? What are your do's and don'ts? And making them really put that down and put that in writing, and taking ownership of that just was so huge and eye-opening for them. And I think a lot of times it's not as impactful if we other leadership is doing it, because it seems more like a chore, right? Than it is like we're digging in, like we're part of the solution. Like let's go with Rita's plan here, and let's see where we go.
Great. Well, thank you guys so much for being here with us. It sounds like it was definitely a positive experience. And
we could talk a whole hour about these kind of lessons.
We can do these, but we got to keep things moving. So
thank you.
we really
No
appreciate
problem.
your time, and we hope to see you again at our 3:00 show for the West Coast. So thanks again, and we'll see you soon.
No problem. And you're invited to our next pitch-in.
Oh, fantastic!
Yes, please. Oh, it's so
All the food,
good.
yes.
It's so good.
Bye. That's amazing, and I feel like well, first of all, if you're just joining us, we're celebrating the book launch of Show Up Positive by Rita Ernst right here. We're very excited that it's finally here and it's out. What I didn't mention at the beginning, if you're watching and you feel comfortable, say hello to us in the comments, drop your email. We're going to have some gifts at the end of this, and we'd love to have a way to get in touch with you. So if you have a moment, just say hello. If you don't feel comfortable doing your email, just say, hi, it's me, and where you're from, and where you're watching from. We'd love to get in touch with you and get you some of these free gifts, and we might just have some giveaways later too.
Yes. But I do have these cute little bookmarks. And
it's just a nice thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for joining us. I would love to send this to you. And here's the thing that you can ask anybody in my network. I am not a spammer. I do not like being spammed.
Nobody
I will
does.
not spam you. You are not going to get 10,000 emails from me asking you to buy or hire me. You're not going to get a bunch of other mail from me. But I would like to say one quick little thank you to you. And this is one way that I can do this is just drop this in the mail. So if you're interested in that, but I promise you, I'm not going to spam you with a bunch of sales calls because that doesn't work. Right. I don't even know why people do that.
And I'm on email list and I don't get a lot of stuff from her either, so which is not the case for some others. So that's nice. So we just spoke with one of your clients. You talked about how you kind of follow the story of a client that you were working through the pandemic, and that's the leadership team. But this book isn't just for the leadership team, is it?
No.
Who is the intended audience? Like, who can benefit from this book?
So, let's talk about part 2, because I think that Tiffany gave a great introduction to that. In my work, I'm always thinking about 3 things. I'm thinking about individuals in the workplace. I'm thinking about teams and departments and how they come together in their work units. And then I'm thinking about the overall organization. And you sort of heard her describe that. We worked in Premier Surgery Center, and I work with all my clients at all 3 of those levels. In fact, if you're not going to give me access all the way down to the individual worker, I'm probably not the right consultant for you. That's
Sure.
we're probably not going to do business together because, to get sustainable change, you need head, heart, and hands at every level of your organization. And so the book is written from that same perspective. There's something for individuals. There's something for teams as a unit, and then there is also something for managers and leaders within organizations. So part 2 of the book are the Show Up Positive Sparks. And these are words. So like I just flipped open the book and I landed on the word believe. Isn't that a beautiful word?
Yes.
So the idea is that at the start of a week, Sunday night, Monday morning, you pull out your book, you flip it open, you find a word that speaks to you. Today's word for me is believe. And you say, this is it. I'm going to work on showing up with intention, showing belief in my workplace. And then I give you some descriptions: trust, affirm, rely on. The messaging here is you want to send messages of I believe in you, and I believe you.
What you're telling me.
I'm listening and I'm hearing and I'm believing you. And I give like some do's and don'ts and
Which also means that you've been seen and heard and acknowledged.
Exactly. All of those things come together. And this is not an everyday pick a new word, because this is not a marathon. No, this is not a marathon, right?
It's not a quick fix.
It is not. This is a daily intentional workout routine, right? Where you are building the way you are showing up in your workplace to be the coworker you wish you had. So,
Oops.
I don't know why I've been struggling with this morning. So if you are, if you are just an individual contributor in your workplace, you have no management responsibilities whatsoever, you can still start practicing these Show Up Positive Sparks. And I want you to work on one for an entire week, maybe even 2 weeks. Don't try to rush it. Just really focus with intention on practicing being the person that you want. Find the words that you say, you know what, there's not a lot of respect in my workplace, but here's some respect do's and some respect don'ts. I'm going to work on the do's and avoiding the don'ts. And you know what, because I do that, Randy's going to see me being respectful. And he's going to recognize that I am treating people in a way that others around him are not. And he's going to be attracted to that.
Yeah.
He's
One of the favorite things that you say is that you've said over the course of this is, this is a movement. And just like one person can come in and derail the culture,
yes,
one person can come in and build it up.
Yes.
And I think that is what the lovely part about this book is it kind of gives you that roadmap on how to be that person to come in, and one person can change the culture of a company.
Yes. And teams can do the same thing. Entire teams can work on a word as a unit.
Right.
This week, our word is delight. We're going to work on delighting each other as teammates. Let's all figure out what that means to us and let's practice. I mean, imagine how much fun that would be. Right. If you were all working in concert together to do that.
Absolutely.
At the organization level, this book explains what's possible. But as you and I have talked about, to really take this movement from the top down, like Tiffany and her leadership team did, you're really going to need to buy some consulting services.
Yeah.
But I promise, as Tiffany said, 3-4 months, we're in, we're out, we're making significant change. And if I can't help you, I'm going to be honest with you, because you don't put extraordinary in the name of your business and have people go,
yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
I think what also is extraordinary is how little time it took you to write this once you kind of had that idea. So kind of walk us through the process of from start to finish. Again, this is the first time author.
Yes.
And that had to be a daunting task. And it seems that you've kind of made it through with remarkable speed and excellence. So tell us how that process went.
I have this love-hate thing with writing. People said to me, you need to blog. And so I thought, what do I have to say that anybody wants to hear? And then I started blogging and I got really consistent with it. And I found my voice and I turned blogging into some article writing.
Mm-hmm.
And so then people were like, you need to write a book. And a book is a passion project.
But there's you need to write a book, and then there's I'm going to write a book.
Yes, and I had the I'm going to write a book moment. So I had this moment where I was doing this work, and I said, people are struggling to build a positive culture. I could teach them how to do this. I can help them get back to this high performing, highly respected, outstanding organization that their people love. I know how to do that. And I need to teach people how to do that, because what I'm seeing in my little microcosm of clients I'm working with is exploding everywhere. And so I decided to take my email list, which you can join from my website, igniteextraordinary.com. And every Monday morning, I will send you an email for the week. And I started writing Show Up Positive Sparks to that group, just to see if that content resonated with anybody. Before I even started writing part 1, I started writing part 2.
Right.
And then I talked to my publisher, and she's like, don't repeat content. So if you've been on my email list, you've been getting a year's worth of Show Up Positive content that is completely different than the 50 that are in the book, because she said, bring him something new.
Right.
So that's what I did. I didn't do any repeats. And, but I was getting great feedback. And so then I was like, okay, I think I'm going to write this book. And that was when the amazing killer pitchmaster herself, Precious Williams, who is a 4-time best-selling author, and a colleague of mine, I reached out to her and said, girl, tell me about your book journey. Like, how do I get started to write a book? And she hooked me up with Sharon, the owner of Pen Legacy, which is an independent publisher. And I was around Thanksgiving when I had my first meeting with Sharon. And she said, well, when do you want to publish this book? And I said, well, we're talking about things that were 2020 and it's about to be 2022. Like, that's 2 years. Like, now's the moment. I need it out as soon as possible.
Right.
And she said, well, if you can get me copied by the end of January, we can launch the book in the summer. And I was like,
2 months less than, right?
I was like, what do you mean? I'm thinking if I got it done, it would be 2 months later or whatever. And then no, that's not how, with editing and stuff, not how things go.
Right.
And so I was like, I'm in. I can do this. And so the entire month of December, I wrote part 1. And my family will tell you, I just locked myself away in my chair with my laptop and wrote, had big celebration when I hit 10,000 words because I had no idea, Sharon's like, to be a real book, you've got to be at least 150 pages. Are you going to be 150 pages? And I'm like,
I don't know.
I hope so.
I hope so.
And then in January, I wrote part 2 of the book, and I gave myself a goal. I'm a very goal-oriented person. And so I gave myself a goal of writing every day, Monday through Friday, for Show Up Positive Sparks a day.
Great. And once that happened, one of the things, also extraordinary things, is just your reliance on your network that you've built. And I'm sure once this was done, you didn't just send it to the publisher sight unseen. So you then relied on your network again to give you feedback on this book. And we have somebody here to talk about that experience. Can we bring on Rebecca?
Hey, Rebecca.
Hello.
Hey, guys.
How's
I'm
it
so
going?
excited to be here. Good.
Oh, thank you so much for
How are
being
you
here.
all?
We're doing great, and obviously having a great time talking about this amazing book. So what did you think when Rita first approached you about being a beta? We're calling them beta readers for this book.
Yes, I was very excited. I've known Rita for a very long time, and I've gotten to work with her as a gymnastics coach, and just the fact that she wanted me to be a part of this, I was super excited and very stoked to be a part of this with her.
It's kind of like behind the scenes, like you're getting the first look at something like a movie or something like that. It is very exciting.
Well, and let me just say, Rebecca has several degrees, but one of the reasons that I wanted Rebecca to read the book is not only because she's so educated, but she's a school teacher. So talk about a place where you might need some help showing up positive. I thought that's a workplace that might resonate.
And also that feedback of like, am I teaching? Is the message coming across?
Yes.
So what was your first impression of the book, Rebecca?
I thought it was fantastic. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And as I started reading it, I started trying to apply some of that into the schoolroom, just among myself with the children. It's hard some days to walk in and be positive. But I would look in, I'll be like, this is on me. I can come into this and I can be that positive for them, and hopefully they can carry it on into their lives. So for me, it was great. I really enjoyed it, and I flew through it. Like, it didn't take me any time at all.
Oh yeah, I think it's such an easy and accessible read. Was there some part that really most resonated with you when you first read it that you want to maybe share with us?
Yes. One of the things I remember texting Rita this, it was her cake. And I backed up at it, but basically a pop culture does something that's bad.
Hold on,
Rebecca.
Yeah, we're losing your audio. Yeah. Okay, looks like it's clear now. Okay, start over.
Go ahead again.
Okay. So
there we go.
The take. And I remember texting Rita right after I read it, and it was basically that you don't take something that's bad and pretend that it's good. You accept it and you deal with the reality of the disappointments of it and go from there and try to make it into that positive.
That's amazing.
Let me see if I can find this really quick.
Is that in the part 1 section?
It is in the part 1 section. It is in what a show up positive culture is not. It's in the TLDR think.
And while you're looking for that, again, the book, I think, and you might agree with me, Rebecca, because you said it didn't take you very long to get through it. I really think it is a roadmap, and it's a tool that you can use how you want to use it. You can read it from cover to cover. I like to go through and see what the topics are and the table of contents, usually for a book before I go through it. But there are these sections at the end that are too long, didn't read, that gives you all of the highlights from that chapter that you might resonate with that particular day or not. And you can go and find out more information about that. And then you can follow the journey through the narrative of what Rita has gone through from a client perspective. So there's all kinds of ways that you can really access this book. And I love that was purposeful and
Yes.
thinking about who the different types of ways that we consume information. So I think
I
that's
forgot my cheat sheet that had
That's
the
okay.
quote, but yeah. So it's the turd cake. He did. She's like turd cake and laugh out loud emoji.
that's amazing. So Rita, how did this? And you had several people do this, and
Yes.
from your network, how did that change, if it did, the final product of the book?
Well, Rebecca and my other beta readers were essential because I had to actually work hard at this because as I got like the first couple of chapters done, I had this strong desire to have somebody read them and give me feedback. And I looked at myself and I said, Rita, you don't need any other voices in your head. Just stay the course. You finish writing what you have in your mind before you allow any other voices in.
Right.
But then I went
So
ahead.
you wrote the whole thing before handing it off to
Yeah, well, part one.
part one.
I had them read part one. I didn't even. They're going to see part two brand new. And so they were just doing part one, and I wanted to know, does anybody else care about this? Am I giving too much detail or not enough detail? I'm a psychologist. I'm sharing the why and the psychology in the book. Is it making sense to anybody who is not as in love with psychology as I am? And so that's where people like Rebecca were really helpful to say, I didn't really understand this, or I want more detail about that. And so they really helped me make a book that that was going to tell my story the most. And I remember, Rebecca, one of the first pieces of feedback that you gave to me was you said, I feel like you're sitting on my couch talking to me.
Yes, that's very true.
And
we have a lot
that's
of
when
those.
that's when I knew I got what I wanted to write was a very conversational book, like as if I were writing a letter to you, the reader. And an editor's not gonna, that doesn't know me, isn't gonna know my voice.
Right.
Rebecca and I have spent many hours together in the gym when we taught gymnastics and worked together in gymnastics, and she knows me. Our kids have hung out together. We spend time together. So to have her say, I feel like I'm in the room with you, I was like, oh, I did it.
Fantastic. Rebecca, thank you so much for joining us and giving us that little insight into how this book came about. And we're so grateful that you're here and celebrating with us. And we will talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Bye.
Have a good day. Happy Bourbon Day. So this is out. We talked to everybody. Hopefully it's going to blow up the charts, and we will be calling you best-selling author after today.
We did break into the top 12 of new releases yesterday. So only stay there for a short amount of time. It's a constantly moving number as new books come on the scene. But that's because of all of you who listened to my call to action to pre-order. And thank goodness that you did if you were ordering from Amazon, so you got your copy secured.
Yeah, it's already ready to go and will be coming to you soon. So what's next? What is next for you now that this is launched?
So I have something I want to share.
Okay.
Can I share?
Yeah.
I'm so excited about this. So I wanted to do an unveiling about this, but I have just been so busy on my social media feed, I didn't get to this. But I talked about teams, about the importance of connecting with teams in this book. And I wrote the book in paperback form only and ebook because I wanted it to be easy and portable, because it's a repository of ideas. You're going to go back to it over and over and over again. Originally, I was calling it like a dictionary. I'm going to create a dictionary about positive ways to be in the culture. And so as I thought more about that idea, I was like, people need to have it like right at their fingertips. And so I came up with this idea right here. And these are my Show Up Positive card deck.
Oh, fun. Take
with you. Now just here, I'm going to hand you the card deck.
Absolutely.
Tell me what you think about the hand on those.
Nice.
Don't you love the feel of those?
Nice and sturdy.
Yeah, they're
colorful.
Linen. They're linen paper, so they have this really nice textured feel.
Coated.
Yeah,
decorative. I could see like you putting these up on your
Yeah,
vision board or
and the
something.
honeycomb shapes, right? So you can make this really interesting. There's 24 cards, and
Okay.
these do not repeat to the book. So there's
okay.
50 in the book, and then there's 24 here. And they're in these beautiful tropical colors. So you can put them on your vision board in your work area and sort of have a beachy moment every time you look at them. And there's two sides. So one side of the card is for your own internal mindset work.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's questions that you can ask yourself.
Ask yourself.
And then the other side are questions or statements that you can use in engagement with other people. And this particular deck says, Deck 1, Teams and Meetings. And so you can imagine this like sitting on your shelf. And, you know, the idea is that you share these cards with your team and that people pick cards that speak to them so that everybody in the team is practicing working on a show up positive intention that speaks to their heart and soul. You can bring them into a meeting with you. So if you've got a difficult conversation to have, or your team is just in a rocky place, because you go through storming before you get to norming. So if you're in the storming phase, you've got new people in the team and people aren't really connecting well with one another, you can lay these cards in front of you during the meeting, and just as this little reminder of today, I'm going to practice. What's this one you got? Affirm. I'm going to practice affirming, which means when Randy throws out an idea, I'm going to say, that's a really interesting idea I hadn't thought of, Randy. Thank you. Right? I'm going to affirm his contribution to the conversation. And just having this laying beside me or in front of me in the meeting room on the table, it's just a really easy reminder. And it's things I can say. I love this. This is better because of you.
Right.
What do you need from me? Tell me more about that.
Right.
I'm on board with that idea.
Again,
right?
feeling acknowledged and seen and heard, which I think a lot of us are craving.
So you can access.
And how do you get these?
You can access these on my website. So igniteextraordinary.com, go to the tab called Show Up Positive and scroll to the bottom. I'm going to do public workshops. So the only way to get these is to sign up for a workshop, because I want to engage with you, because that's who I am. Somebody said, just make a loom, and I may do that someday. But right now I want to engage with people that are using my product and help you and let you teach me as well. And on the back of every box, this QR code is now much bigger than this. There's a QR code that takes you to a private page on my website that you only can get to from this QR code that gives you the list of 10 ideas that I'll teach you in the workshop of different ways to use these cards for yourself and for your team. And so that's one thing. And then now that I'm on the other side of this, I'm going to be back to speaking and consulting with, of course, Show Up Positives. I have a whole new keynote address around Show Up Positive that I can deliver at conferences and meetings, and also workshops that I can bring into your organization to do with your leaders or your teams. And
just like we heard from Tiffany, things can turn around in as easy as 90 days.
Yes, that's my goal. My goal is always 90-day sprints. I love that concept of the 90-day sprint. So that is where I'm at, and it's very affordable. We're talking about under $4,000 a month for me to come in and do consulting work, where I'm on site talking to your employees, weekly meetings with your leadership team. Like, we have a whole action plan and strategy for every month that we are executing, and I'm at your side every step of the way. You get unlimited access to me, and I think that's pretty amazing for less than $4,000 a month.
Absolutely. And speaking of connecting, this is not the last thing we're doing. I want to remind everybody that we are going to have another celebration for our West Coast friends at 3:00. So if you're around and want to join us again, we're going to have different guests on.
Or let me say, better yet, if you are finding this information valuable, if you're finding Randy and I entertaining, then invite some friends that didn't make it to this one. Please promote this out to 2 or 3 friends. Think of 3 people that might need Show Up Positive in their life, and send them the information about the West Coast party and have them come join us.
And if you're local, Rita would love to meet with you and hang out and have some bourbon, because we're going to have a book signing / another launch party at Bourbon's Bistro on June 23rd, starting at 5 p.m. to 8:30. Bourbon's Bistro is on Frankfurt Avenue. We are going to be in the upstairs private dining space. We will be providing food. There will be a cash bar. They have all the bourbons and all the fun cocktails.
And we're going to do a ton of networking. We're going to talk books. I'm going to have a signing table. We will have a kiosk for books for sale if you want to just buy your book at that event. But it's also going to be a bunch of other friends and business acquaintances. And this is a huge networking opportunity. So if you are part of my network, you know I am good to my network. I love my network, and they are good to me. So networking is where it's at.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, if you are here, please drop us a line or a comment. Let us know you're here so we can get in touch with you. Rita would love to thank you for joining us because of these with the bookmarks that she has. We're kind of a little over. Do we have any questions from the audience?
Not any questions yet. Just want to give a little shout out and hello to Tiffany, Latanya, and Terry, who have all shouted out in the chat. And Latanya said she's already pre-ordered her book.
Fantastic.
Hey,
Thank you.
So very, very exciting.
Fantastic. So again, right now the book is out. You can get it from all these, from Amazon, Barnes & Noble, locally here in Louisville at Carmichael's. And we will be back on at 3:00. Do we want to have a little toast?
We are going to have a little toast. So while I'm pouring our little toast, if you do have a question you want to ask me, if you're willing to hang out a little bit longer, please drop those into the chat and Courtney will share that. But this is our bottle of Woodford. If you saw my poem, listen to it. Make sure you turn on your sound. This is the Woodford that is awaiting a pour.
Right.
My husband is a Brown-Forman employee, so we're supporting their company and but we're just going to do little tipples.
Thank you.
We're not going to do huge tipples. But Woodford is my favorite bourbon to use.
Woodford is a standard. Cheers.
Cheers.
Congratulations to you.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for supporting, for showing up. Please, I cannot say this often enough because it is the truth of where I am. Right now is all about building awareness. I love this book. You're going to get it in your hands. Hopefully you're going to love it too. You're going to share all kinds of feedback with me, but I need people to find this book. And that means I need your help. You're going to be more instrumental in helping people find this book than I can be alone. So thank you for supporting, for sharing, for commenting, for coming. All of those things matter so much.
Congratulations.
Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you guys. We'll see you soon.